The first thing is to focus on your customer. In other words, it's so easy to see a nut and start going after it. Like you get that squirrel mentality. Don't look at your competitors and think, oh, maybe I should be doing this, because you don't even know if it's working for them. Focus on your customer and solve their problems, and then your competition is going to be copying you.
I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around.
Craig Kelley's career journey started with his passion for music, which led him to study classical and jazz guitar in college. He then toured locally and regionally, and even went to Europe for a while. He created a website for his band and started a web hosting company to learn more about developing the back end and marketing, among other things. When he noticed that his web hosting business was declining, he tried creating an application called Mocha Max, which was like a social island for Mac users, but it eventually became a Twitter-like platform. From there, he got interested in APIs and programming and tried creating an info product with the help of ClickFunnels. However, COVID hit and put a damper on his gigs. He then thought of a tool that would help him create scripts more easily and quickly, which led to the creation of LeadScripts. With the help of AppSumo, he was able to get a lot of feedback and refine his product, leading to 100 SEO reviews and a successful product. He's currently working on adding an AI model called Oscar to help users ask anything and get a script they need quickly. Craig Kelley is also a musician and plays the guitar and sings. Craig, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
And my pleasure. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. So walk us through memory lane and let's hear, how'd you get into software development and creating an application that you've been in this space for a long time? Let's go to the beginning.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I first started, like my first passion was music. And I went to school for music, got a degree in classical and jazz guitar, and went out and toured all around locally, regionally, ended up in Europe for a bit. And back then, this was a while ago, the internet was just starting to take hold, and people were starting to trust it and all that stuff. And you needed a website. So long story short, I just started creating a website for our band. And I really loved it. It just went with me. And then like to make money, being a musician is great. And you can definitely make a living, but it's not much of a living most of the time, especially if you have a wife and then you start having kids and stuff. That's what got me into like software development, front end, like the look of things was like really something I really liked, but I needed to know all about it. Yeah. So I ended up starting my own web hosting company because I wanted to know everything. So from the servers, the network, clear to like developing the back end, the database, the marketing of all this stuff. I just couldn't get enough of it. Started my own web hosting company and it took off. This was on the side. I've always had side hustles. And I did that and had that for 10 years until it became a commodity. At one time, I'm going to work full time and I'm doing this like a couple hours at night. And I'm making over 10 grand a month on it. It's almost passive income, literally. And I've just learned so much about it. So if I'm going to hire somebody to do something for me, like a database administrator or something like that, I know a lot about all that stuff.
They can't really fool you on trying to pass up on being not real. And I think that's the awesome part about learning everything, the ins and outs of the development, the hosting, the scripting, the servers, all those things. So that's so cool. Keep going.
Yeah. And as that declined, I was kind of looking for, because GoDaddy came out and anybody could host with them and do all this stuff. And I still had kind of core clients because they trusted me. They had a question they could ask me personally. At one point I had, I don't know, several hundred people I was hosting. And there's a lot of stories and all that. But I was happy to kind of get out of the space and just worry about one application, one site. And I don't know, I was just looking for something and I couldn't figure anything out, looking for that idea that would like just spark the inspiration for me to dig in again. And that's when I created Moku Max. And Moku means island in Hawaiian. It was like your social island to the max. So basically it was going to be like a place, it's like a buffer. You could post everything and do all that stuff. And it started like that. And then I thought it was too much. So I switched it just to Twitter and I focused and I learned so much about APIs and just it's like next level stuff as far as like programming and all that and stuff. And I tried that for a long time. And what I found was that nobody cares about Twitter. They really don't. They're going to post to it. But from a business perspective and all that, I don't regret doing that. I spent a ton of time, learned a lot. Each thing has been like a stepping stone to the next. And then that led me to, as a musician, I'm like, oh man, I got to get into music people, start helping people. Yeah. And I got not caught up, but just kind of like got the ClickFunnels bug.
Pulled into,
so I started doing all the info products and stuff like that, like with music stuff. Because I thought, man, I have so much experience. I could really help these people. I've been doing it for a long time. I've played with a lot of professional people and all that. And everybody wants to be a rock star. Mm-hmm. And first thing I say is you don't need to be a rock star. Your audience doesn't need to be like that. If you have if you have 3,000 people, you have a nice core group, a list that you can monetize and do very well with. But anyway, COVID hit, and guess what? The gigs got knocked out, and I'm like, it's one thing after the next. And I will say, musicians are really rude.
They're really rude.
Yeah, and they have no money. So I get it. Money's tight. They're kind of grumpy. So I don't know, like, you really have to have a thick skin whenever you're selling to musicians. And I don't know, I kind of get tired of that a little bit. But anyway, while I was doing that, I was always trying to get headlines, like subheadings, to create these funnels. And I ended up buying other scripting software. I bought the ClickFunnels, the funnel scripts, and I'm just like, I would sit there for hours trying to answer all these dumb questions. Sorry. I always get stuck.
Yeah.
I could never actually get any script out of it. I just get overwhelmed with it. And I'm like, I need something that's easy. I've done this. I know what works. And so that's when I decided, you know what? I'm going to put GigFaster on hold, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to create some product where I can get all my scripts I need quickly. Yeah. Like, you just fill in a few keywords about your product, your business, and all the scripts would be pre-filled with all that stuff. And people say, oh, then it's not unique. Look, there's so many different products out there, so many different kinds of services. There's thousands of scripts in there. Chances of you having the same page as somebody else or the same combination or whatever is so slim. You don't even worry about it. It's not even worth worrying about.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to LeadScripts. And I worked on it for a while, and I'm like, you know what? I just need to put it out, because you can work on something and dream about how it's going to turn out and all that stuff. But until you get user feedback, you just don't know what's going to happen. And I released it. And back when you could actually advertise on Facebook, fairly easy compared to now.
Yeah.
I was getting orders, and I was getting the same kind of response. Like, they didn't like it, but they didn't tell me why.
Nobody tells you. Nobody tells you why. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my goodness. I was getting refunds. I'm fine with giving refunds. Some people try to hold on to that, but I'm like, it's not worth it. Just give a refund if somebody wants it and move on.
Yeah, exactly. Find the right target.
So I kept working on it. I released it in August, and I kept working on it through. I never stopped working on it, but it got to around December, beginning of December, and AppSumo contacted me and said, "Hey, your product looks like it'd be good for a marketplace. Would you be interested?" And I'm like, I'll be honest with you. I honestly didn't even know much about AppSumo at the time.
Sure.
I had been there a few times, and I know some other guys that I'd used, but I just wasn't like on there doing anything with it. And I'm like, what do I got to lose? Sure, let's do this.
They're coming to me asking for it. Yeah. So why not?
Yeah. So we listed on AppSumo like December 18th. And by the end of December, we had, oh my goodness. Have to do the math, but I think we had $20,000 in orders. And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like thinking that right there. I learned a few things. One of them was audience is everything. AppSumo had the audience. So they just put it out there, and like a whole bunch of people just ate it up right away.
Yeah.
And they have a generous refund, 60 days. I'm like, 60 days, man, that's a lot. We got a lot of refunds. People continued to buy, obviously a need, got a lot of refunds, but man, people were so nice. And they told us exactly, hey, why don't you have this? Why don't you add this? Or I'm like, why? What didn't you like about it? And they would tell you specifically what was missing, all that stuff. 24/7, I'm on it. And like before long, it was just a totally different product. Like it's just we've done a really nice amount of sales on AppSumo, but so we've basically been paid to rewrite and continue to refine LeadScripts into what people really want. And it's just been invaluable. Like I don't want to tell everybody to go to AppSumo, but I'm like saying, if you have a product and you're having a hard time getting people's feedback, so you know what they really want, it just worked. It was just insane for us. It was amazing. So I know I have a great sellable product because people bought a lot of it, and they told us exactly what it is. And now, like, we got over 100 and some odd reviews of how great it is. We got tons of reviews. And so, so that's kind of where we got to where we are now. Yeah. And we stayed on AppSumo for a good year. Went through 3 of their different programs. So
no, that's freaking awesome. You're absolutely on the money, where you got to find the right audience for the product that you're creating, right? You got to find people that are same as you, because that's the people that are going to buy the software. You created this application to solve your own problem. The only people that are going to buy is the people that are facing these same problems as you. And you're absolutely right. It does not matter if the scripts are same. What really matters is that sales page solving somebody's problem. Is it
right?
Is it something that's going to change their world and create that transformation that they're looking for? And I love that. And you're absolutely right. The audience has it. When they ask you, hey, can you do this? And you deliver, you got 5 stars. On the back of that.
Yeah. There were a lot of those people. If anybody ever needs a certain script, it's not like LeadScripts is not a huge corporation. You email and I look at it and I'm like, I could probably do this pretty easily. Like
Yeah.
with AI, I can create a model for almost anything. So if you want a Pinterest description or something for it's probably a bad example because I'm not on Pinterest. I don't really
Sure.
know anything about it. But whatever, like I can probably create a model that's going to solve your problem. And I
Yeah.
have a couple of those come. Actually, I'm excited because like right now we have certain models in there, but I'm adding it so that we're adding Oscar. And that's like the character that I've always used. I wanted some kind of superhero type character for
Yeah.
LeadScripts just because I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
So I've labeled him Oscar, and it's going to be, you're going to be able to ask him basically anything, and then he'll be just give it to you. And I'm excited. I can't wait till that's finished. So that's going to be amazing because I'll use that a lot.
Yes. You're going to use it yourself, and
List
hence
for this, or I need a headline, write a headline for this, or all
I'm
kinds of
always looking for headlines, especially when I'm creating these podcasts, and I have every single episode is how to, or how you do this, or how to gain momentum on by using this application or that application. So I'm always looking for those headlines. And yes, it takes a lot of work to go through the entire script, the transcript, come up with, okay, this summarizes all the stuff that you can do with this application or with this in this podcast. So that will be a really awesome addition. So as you start as in a band, I see
Yeah.
that you got a guitar back there. Did you play the guitar?
Yeah, I play and sing. I actually made this from a kit. It has my signature on it.
Nice.
Kind of cool.
That is really cool.
It's my inspiration to Eddie Van Halen because he is my guitar hero.
Nice.
Yeah.
So continuing to support the bands, got into software development, the ClickFunnels bug, all of that good stuff. You learned so much. You put all the knowledge that you got into the software. And I'm always looking at who's inviting me to do what. AppSumo reached out to you. Obviously, you had launched the application somewhere. Like they would not have known about you unless you had something out there already. And being part of that ClickFunnels community, you learn a lot of good things about good headlines on when people come. Your site looks nothing like created in a ClickFunnel because it's very corporate, not just corporate, but it's very professionally done. And I like what you got over here.
Thank you. And actually, I don't use ClickFunnels anymore.
Of course, you can build your own software. ClickFunnels is for people who don't know hosting, who don't know how to do any of the things that you and I had a web hosting company myself. When I started web development back in 96, 97, it wasn't until 2000 that I joined a company that was doing all the hosting for a lot of local businesses. So that gave me an entry point to setting up DNS, setting up mail servers, and setting up all those fun things. I'm like, oh my God, this guy knows a thing or two about how the internet works.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm trying to think what I'm going to ask next. Okay. And then I also, based on what you shared, based on the feedback you got from the customer, the feedback that you got from the clients, that keeps you motivated because now what you had created is fueling other people and fueling them to ask you questions. Oh, can you add this feature? Can you add that feature? And I think that's the infinity point that you reach, that we all are looking for, where they're feeding it to you, you're feeding it to them, they're feeding it to you, and then that's how the entire community grows.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, it's almost, what is it, dopamine? Like when you're getting feedback and people are using your product and It's not even so much they're buying it, but that definitely will spike. Be like,
The
yeah, it's
dopamine is like, yes,
because
another
you're like,
sale.
yeah, and it's not just about the money. It's just it's going to use this and like it's going to solve their problem. And it's just, I've always said, people, I didn't make this up, but it's so true. And most people never think about this. Like when you give somebody a gift, like when they have to accept it. And when they do, that's why I say it's better to give than receive.
Yeah.
You actually receive something more than what you've given them. Like the joy you receive from somebody receiving your gift is more than what you've given them. That's why so it's so hard you got to really think about it, but it's so true. So true. But yeah, it definitely gets me excited. And I like to play a lot of golf, and one shot, if you let it, can ruin your whole round. Because you'll be like, oh, great, that just ruined my whole score. Yeah. And you're going to have negative feedback from people. And it's always the negative comments and feedback that you get, not necessarily helpful at all, that you're going to remember. And you have to really just have a short memory and forget. Most important shot is this one, your next one. Not that one's done. So you just got to move on. And that's really hard. But yeah, I think Gig Faster helped me with that a lot because it's really a great product, but it all depends on who the person is. And
yeah. Dude, it's been awesome talking with you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and how you got started. The web development really brought the reminiscing times of the 90s and the 2000s and building these sites and building all of the platforms. What is the platform that you're building your LeadScripts on top of?
I've actually, most of my programming career has been on Microsoft products.
Okay.
So I'm using ASP.NET MVC.
Okay.
With C#, but there's all kind of other things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, for the most part, that's what it is. The core at this point.
Core from this point. All right, nice. I love it. All right, let's take a quick break, and then you can share 3 hacks to take away for the audience so they can apply. And these could be probably hacks that you use inside your application.
Yeah, a lot of. I know we're gonna take a little quick break, but I thought about this, and most of my hacks are mental, so might be a little different.
All right, we'll give it a shot. We'll be right back. I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Welcome back, guys. We've been talking with Craig Kelley, founder of LeadScripts. Really fun conversation. He shared with us how he got started, what inspired him to create the application LeadScript. He's got 3 hacks to share with us. So Craig, take it away.
Like the 3 tips you would say?
Yes, the 3 tips.
Yeah, I would say like the first thing is to focus on your customer. In other words, it's so easy to see a nut and start going after it. Like you get that squirrel mentality. Don't look at your competitors and think, oh, maybe I should be doing this, because you don't even know if it's working for them. Focus on your customer and solve their problems and then your competition is going to be copying you. So that's number one. Like that, it's hard, but keep your head in your own product, developing. And I'm not saying don't get ideas, but don't get overwhelmed, start changing everything because you saw your competitor was doing it this way. And it's real easy to do that. You got to be careful with.
Yeah.
That would be the number one. And number two for me is that marketing's not a game of perfect. This is the thing that I think so many people get caught up in. Dr. Bob Rotella wrote the book, Golf is Not a Game of Perfect. And that's kind of like where I got that from. Marketing is not a game of perfect.
Yeah.
What you really need to do, you don't need to feel great about your headline or your subheading or your paragraph text or the way your page looks per se. You'll probably want to look good, but there are terrible looking pages that are converting way more than yours.
Yes.
So don't worry about it until making it feel right or look right. Because while you're doing that, your competition they're so dumb. They grabbed a headline, put it in their landing page, and then they A/B tested against another one with another headline they just grabbed. And they're like, oh, okay, B works. Okay, now I'm going to get another one, create another landing page with the C. And they're like saying, oh, okay, B's still working. And then I get another. They test it.
They're constantly testing.
You're going to know. So that one's the one you just got to remember that it's not a game of perfect. It's a game of doing it. Just do it. Not worry about it.
Yeah.
And my last one, and that's easy when you use LeadScripts because you can just go in and you can just grab one. You can add your headline, your subheading, or funnel you're in, or if you need an email or something, just copy it, tweak it, whatever you need to do, and use it. And then you can see what's working. And all those that's in LeadScripts, I'm not going to say 100% of those are high converting, but they all are very high converting. You won't know for your audience. It depends on your audience, but there's a good chance. Some of them sound too salesy for some people, but they're really not salesy enough for some people. And then my third one would be 5 minutes a day. Whatever you want to learn something, like people come to me, I want to learn guitar. They want to learn how to play golf. It doesn't matter what I do. Everybody wants to learn me to teach them how to do it. I'm like, this is the thing. I spend time doing all these things because I'm OCD when it comes to anything. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it well. And I'm going to make sure I can do it well because I feel like I need to be a professional at everything. I spend a lot of time doing it. But the key to all of this is start with 5 minutes a day. I started writing. I've written a couple of books. I'm not even going to mention what they are. They're like all different, but some are finance, some are marketing. I did it 5 minutes. I just start with 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to write 5 minutes. Next day, all right, write 5 minutes. Like you have so much time in a day. You think you don't.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger says you only need to sleep 6 hours. And people are like, no, man, I need 9 hours. He says, sleep faster, which I think is so great.
Yeah.
But even if you sleep half your day, you have so much time.
So much time.
Don't measure what you do by how much time you put in it. It's more how productive you are. Like how much quality time are you putting into it?
Exactly.
That's the one that I think I've been able to learn and really become like more of an expert at most things because I use my time wisely. So start with 5 minutes. Chances are you're going to spend more than 5 minutes doing it. Once you start getting down and doing it, you just have to commit to 5 minutes a day and you're going to be good. And there's one other one I want to say is my bonus word of advice, if you could take it, is that you should never give up. It sounds cliche, but so many times you don't know where that tipping point is. You don't know if you're a couple feet from the goal. Everybody's probably heard that story. You can look it up. But every time I hit a wall, and you hit walls all the time, especially if you're using third-party things like for AI and for anything like that, if you're advertising, all this stuff, you're always going to hit a wall. Every time I hit a wall, I'm like, ooh, look at all these other guys that just hit the wall with me. They're going to quit. Everybody quits. I'm like, all right, that's one more. Hit another one. I'm like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Never quit because your competition is at the same spot with you. And are you going to quit or are they going to quit?
Yeah.
That's how you get to be the elite and you survive. Put the time in and keep going and never quit.
No, I love that. This is freaking awesome. Those are some valuable tips. Those are some really good and valuable tips. I like that a lot. All right. I like to ask these questions toward the end of the show. So you ready for these quick shot questions?
I think so.
All right, let's do this. What is the one hobby that you wish you got into?
I would say golf, because if there's any sport that I ever played, Jack Nicklaus says it's 99.9% mental, and it's the 6 inches between your ears. And I find it for almost any sport, but golf is definitely one where if you're gripping the club too tight, you're going to pull it. If you're mad, everything's going away. So it's a game of patience.
Yeah, it's right here.
I wish I would have been in that earlier, just because I might have learned some of these lessons earlier. Who knows? Maybe not, but
who knows? Yeah. It all takes us a certain time to get to the wisdom that we think we needed it back then, right?
Yeah. And I always tell people I'm a slow learner. So if I can learn it, you can learn it too.
Yeah, exactly. I love that too. All right, next question. What did you want to be when you were a child?
Oh, definitely a rock star. I still remember in the green station wagon going up Pomfret Street.
Yeah.
We're stopped at the light. We're going our way to church on a Sunday, and Jukebox Heroes playing on the radio. And I'm like,
yeah,
I just dreamed of being able to play the guitar.
Yeah.
And do that. And I'm like, I was probably like 4 years old, maybe. So,
that
definitely
is so cool.
But God spared me. I think who knows where I'd be if it had all worked out like that.
That's awesome. You did get to try your hand at it, right?
Actually, I still play in a band, and it's actually now that I'm not pursuing it professionally, it's much more enjoyable.
Yeah, there's no rush.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
All right, next question. What is your favorite movie or TV show?
I think about that. I have to say probably my favorite movie of all time is probably The Patriot, because I've watched it more than any other movie, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. I just like that movie. Yeah,
that's the one with Mel Gibson, right? And
yeah,
that's a good movie.
And any Dirty Harry movie, I just think Clint Eastwood. I'm like, I'm not going down. I'm not growing old like everybody else. I'm gonna try to be as much like Clint Eastwood as possible.
Nice.
CC's badass. So,
I love it.
I'm not going down easy.
Yeah, nice. All right, next question. What movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
What movie would I choose if I had to play it? Man, that's good. That's a good one. I think maybe I have to probably be like The Patriot or Rocky. As long as I get to be like, I'd probably be the guy getting knocked out or something. But I don't know. Had to be something like that, or a Dirty Harry movie, or a Western. One of those four. Probably.
One of the Westerns. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, who is your favorite superhero?
Yeah. If I had one, I'd have to say probably Thor. During the pandemic, I'd never seen any of those movies, and as a family, we were all quarantined.
Yeah.
And we watched them all. And I think between him and Iron Man, I think I picked Thor because he just seems stronger.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Tougher than anybody.
It's a great answer. It's definitely super strong.
Yeah.
Last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Oh, man. Probably Trivial Pursuit.
Trivial Pursuit. All right, sweet.
You'd be trying, if that's, people don't know what that is. Yeah, people will be trying to figure me out for a while.
That probably will be. Oh man, that's so funny. All right. Thank you, man, for your time, energy, and wisdom and sharing your journey. Where can the superpreneurs find you? I know we talked about LeadScripts. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you just go to leadscripts.co, or you can message me on Facebook as well under LeadScripts. Okay. That's the easiest way to get. I try to like not be anywhere so much, sure, but I'm very available through LeadScripts. Yeah.
Okay. I love that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again. And this was a really fun chatting with you. Until next time, have a great one.
Yeah, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for listening to this Hacks and Hobbies episode. Junaid would love to hear from you, so please leave a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. Visit hacksandhobbies.com to find additional information on the guest today, as well as the show notes.